Yo everyone, what's up? Welcome back to Top Tier Arcade. My name is Steve, and we're back in the spare bedroom where we're housing the Super Sprint Arcade. And in this video, which is a very emotional video for me, I'll explain in a moment. This is going to be the Super Sprint Arcade part 4, the memories, and what memories I had. Very, very important to me as a grail, as a living memory of my past and the entire arcade scene. Before I get into that and the reasons why, I'm going to be lighting up a cigar. This is called the Mark Twain Memoir number 2, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's a dark Maduro wrapper. I'd have to double check, but it'll be in this description below. These are the cigars one of the cigars brands I scored in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania when I went to Allentown Pinfest. It was amazing, the pricing. In Canada, even though they don't even sell them here, an average cigar like this, you're looking at around $20 Canadian. Converted to US, this cigar cost me $1.80. Do you know how cheap that is? Do you understand how cheap that is? So that's why I stocked up and went nuts. Either way, I'm going to be smoking this Mark Twain. Let me cut this up really quick. I think you guys can see. Little on the dry side because the temperature in my apartment, it's been hot and cold, which is terrible, but better than nothing. Also, my father-in-law got me this, and he was in Chicago for my brother-in-law, who's younger, and he had a hockey tournament, and they got this Vecchia Romagna. It's a really nice sweet brandy from Italy. Really nice sweet brandy, and my father was like, hey, you can smoke with this cigar. He gets it. And at first it's like, whoop, and then it's smooth. Very nice, very floral. Let me light this bastard up. Let's get to it. Bro, after I explain kind of the reasoning behind this, I'm going to put you aside and I'm going to do a kind of a shoulder cannon view of my memory and how everything was set up, because my memory of this game is so vivid, so clear, and it's so living. I can still remember the smell, the sound, the weather, the temperature, everything where I was. I kid you not. Let me light this up. Bro, Super Sprint has become very popular. Did I get it? Nope. Super Sprint's become very popular in a lot of arcade circles and even pinball circles because it's a little different than just a normal arcade. Super fun at parties, and overall a great time. Alright, good enough. Alright, let's get to it. Yeah, they're a little dry. Damn it. Okay, good enough. Alright guys, let's get right to it. Let me paint you the scene. Super Sprint came out in '87. And I was 7 years old when that came out, but I don't remember it then. Where I remember it is this. 45 minutes from Toronto, and people from Ontario and Canada would know this area. It's Whitby, Ontario. It's where actually a lot of my friends live and family, believe it or not. And I visit there usually every few months, family and friends, and just passing by other cities. And a very big collector base in Whitby. And there was a place called Family Cartways. And for you Ontarianites, you'd be probably like, oh my God, Steve, oh my God. Here's the scene. Oh yeah, butter. The scene is this. I was 13 years old, so this was 93. And I remember it was 93 for a few reasons. One, I was able to finally drive them because I think these were very fast go-karts. And it was a go-kart place that had batting cages and also a humongous arcade and restaurant within like the housing of it. And it was the biggest go-kart track, if I'm not mistaken, in the world or North America. I think it was the world. And the way it worked is, I think you had to be 12 to ride them or accompanied by an adult because they were that big and fast. Huge track. I was so excited because I could actually ride them by myself. My younger brother was born in '86, so he wasn't able to. What would that make him? That would make him, what did I say, 13? So he was around 7-ish, 6, 7, 8. And he had to drive with either my dad, my mom, or my older brother, or myself, but usually they chose Mike because he was older by 3 years from me. He was born in '77. Let me paint you the scene. And I'll jump to what I mean in a second. You go into Family Cartways, and back then it was a toonie, or $2. So in Canada, if you're not aware, there's a loonie, which is a dollar bill, not a paper bill. And there's a toonie, which, was it out then? Maybe a toonie wasn't out then. I can't remember. Anyways, which is a $2 bill now, or a $2 coin, instead of a $2 bill. So it was around $2 to ride, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, it was a blast. So after you rid around, that was fun, a couple of laps. I love baseball, it's my favorite sport. We did batting cages. So you drove, you did batting cages, and then the arcade. Picture this. It was the summer of '93. And you walk into this arcade, which kind of looks like a barn, like the brown black siding of a barn, kind of very old looking with old shingles. You walk, so like when you walk in, like there's like the track and to get prepared with the helmets and whatever. Then you go into this arcade. As soon as you walked in, here's what you saw. I still remember this. You walk in, left, Street Fighter Rainbow Edition, which was the hack version of Champion Edition. And Champion Edition came out in '92, which means around a year later they were hacking the hell out of it. I'm pretty sure Rainbow Edition or whatever Black Belt Edition bullshit that was out, where you can throw like 50 sonic booms and Hadoukens and pal drive out of nowhere. Spinning pal drive with Zangief. And I remember my older brother Mike playing that, and I remember him like, oh my God, Steve, look, and he was killing everyone, smoking them. So to the left was that. And then to the left was that. And then, so you saw this. Dead center was Super Sprint. So the way you're looking at me, pretend you were me, that's how but further down, that's how Super Sprint was. Right beside it was the X-Men Big Monster 6-player cab with the 2 screens. Right beside it, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? I know it was there. Now, again, whether it was 93 or 94, one or the other. This is where and I'll go through the arcade when I zoom in. But I'll focus on that because I want to show you guys something in a second. So, here's my memories. Let's get focused. Memories of Super Sprint. Now, here's where it gets very emotional. Mike would have been, if I was 13, Mike was 16, I was 13, and George was 7, my younger. And because Mike was older, he always had the advantage. Number one, he was older and he knew more. He had more practice, and he went to these with my parents and friends, and he was the older brother. So Mike would choose the red car because he was in the middle, it was easier to see. I, being the second born in middle, I was the left. I was blue. And then George, my younger, was the yellows to the right. So it was 3 boys, 3 brothers, and all 3 of us can play because George would kind of be like this, so he'd be maybe like this high. I mean, this tall. I was maybe here, and then whatever. It's not like I grew that much anyway. So I remember playing this game. I remember smashing into the wall. I remember blowing up all the time. And I remember Mike used to tell me, he goes, "Don't be so literal. Like, you don't be like a driving game. you can really whip the joystick. Like if you're going around the corners, you can really whip it and right around. And I remember doing that. I remember him just flailing the damn steering wheel, and us racing. Now, obviously, he would usually win, unless the green car would, as the computer would win. And there's a few times that I won. George never won. He was just too young to comprehend. And I was getting a hang of it, but we were having a great time. And I remember there was, and again, the 6-player X-Men, though I have a lot of memories with, and I may want to get one day, depending on my space. But that's way later. That was memories too, but this one's specific to us. 3 boys of that age, kind of within the same age, and all having a great time. And we'd play this game often. And we really took to it, because we'd always go like, I'd always used to say, no, I want to be in the middle. And George would say, I want to be in the middle, because you had the advantage of looking straight to the side, because there was a glare, because there was windows and it would go in. So I still remember it. I still remember having grape soda, like those fountain things that it's like see-through and you can see and there's like a fruit punch one. I still remember having popcorn because it was $1 and you'd get a bag. It was a loonie. Remember the coin? It was a loonie and a loonie. It was $2 for both, and then again 50 cents, and I think you got a refill on popcorn for I think $2.50, something like that. But oh yeah, this is really nice, by the way. Cheers, everyone. Excuse me. Cheers. And because I had so many good memories of that game, it had to be in the collection. Now here's where it gets a little emotional, and if I do pause, it's because of what happened to Mike. A little more than 4 months ago. When I started collecting in 2012, my first game was mid-May of 2012. So just past 6 years. Oh my God. It just passed 6 years, and I can't believe where time's gone. And I had a short list. When I first got the Miss Pack, at first, now this, if you go in my memories and my pickup of one of my first videos, which was kind of rough. Not that they're any better now. I was a little more nervous now, whatever. I would explain, why I picked it up, and like, that's it, Miss Pack is done. Well, then I'm like, what other games? Well, I got to get Street Fighter, that's my baby. Street Fighter is my favorite series. And then it's Champion Edition. Oh my God, I got to get Mortal Kombat now. And then boom, the bug hit me. I got infected, the disease. Now I'm a collector, like everyone else does. So what happens is, I had a short list, and I had 10 games maximum. 10 games maximum. It was going to be 3 pinball machines. Yeah, 3 pinball machines and 7 arcade machines. Super Sprint was one of the arcade machines. It was a staple. No matter what happened to me, knock on wood, if I can afford it without any unforeseen issues and I had the room, Super Sprint was in my collection, no questions asked. I think it was number 5 or 6 on the list. Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter Pack, Super Sprint. I think Mortal Kombat 2. I can't remember. I have it somewhere. It was the short 10 list and the 3 pins. Of the 3 pins was Ninja Turtles, Jurassic Park, Data East, and Lord of the Rings, because I'm a huge Tolkien fan, and that was before Hobbit. That was my 3. Now, I played the Jurassic Park Data East, don't love it. I actually like the Lost World Sega one better, believe it or not, even though the theme is not as good. I didn't really get into the Data East one, so I dropped that from my list. And unless I come into serious money or something happens or it's a sweet deal, I may get it, but I doubt it. Anyways, moving forward, Super Sprint was a must. And for years, I'm like, I can't get it because it's too big. I didn't think it would fit in the apartment, and now me not moving out yet has been a little prolonged over the years for reasons I'll get into when I move out, because that's going to be a storytelling for the books. So, for years, a couple of Super Sprints came up. And I'm like, no, it's too big, won't fit, don't care. Don't care. It was always there, but I was going to get it. Here's where it gets emotional. The last time I saw Mike, my older brother, was Christmas Day, December 25th, 2017. And because my in-laws were having Christmas on the same day, sometimes Saturday I go to my parents and Sunday we go to theirs to split it up. It was no option. We had to do it on the same day. So I was there until 4 with my parents, and then 4:30 to 10:30 with my in-laws and them. And before I said goodbye to Mike, we were talking about the arcade, and he says to me, you know what, Steve, I've been busy with my daughter. I'm trying to work with my own things, and my relationship's not the greatest, and I'm trying to progress further with my job. And he goes, hopefully one day back, when I come back, maybe in the next few times, that you would have bought a house and moved out. And Mike was planning to come back maybe 2 or 3 times to visit from BC to my parents every year for his daughter's birthday, Christmas, I think just for the summer. I don't know. The last half hour of us together, which was around 3:30-ish on Christmas Day, we just finished eating and I was just about to light a cigar, and we were talking, and I didn't have time to finish it, so I didn't light it after all, but I gave it to Mike, and I'm like, have it for your trip back. And he said to me, he goes, what other games? So I told him that about The Hobbit, that the Ninja Turtles was ready to be rebuilt, because back then it was still in pieces, as you can see in my restore videos. And he said to me, what are the games you have on the list? And I told him, well, and I have like I haven't showed you, I have a few people that I know have showed, but I haven't showed you guys yet how I want the basement set up and with what games that are a must, depending on space. Life changes, obviously, look what happened. So you can't take that for granted. And Mike's like, what game are you going to get? I'm like, well, here's the ones I'm going to get for sure. And Super Sprint was on there. And seeing his face light up, he's like, what? Remember? And then as soon as he said, do you remember? That story I just told you came back. Crystal clear. Hot summer day, first day playing, popcorn, oil on my hands, sliding the steering wheel, getting it all greasy. Great pop with refill, us playing as brothers and having the time of our lives. And he says, oh my God, Steve, are you gonna get that? No. He's like, Steve, get that. He goes, well, I'm gonna cry. He says, yeah, we'll play like when we're teens. I'll be in the middle like always, and you can be in the blue and George will be on the right. Now my brothers were fat. I'm chubby because I've got to let myself go a little, and excuses. But my brothers were big, and my brothers are big, and I remember joking with them saying we won't have enough room. Because back then we were thinner. Mike was always bigger. He was always the bigger one. Just more like big boned and thick. And I remember thinking, I'm like, I hope we even fit because we've all gained weight. He starts laughing. He goes, don't worry, we'll make it work out. And he goes, Steve, please get that game. He goes, and he said to me, Steve, I think what you're doing is really cool. It's unique. You've got new friends, new pinball guys, new arcade guys, and they're becoming my regulars. But again, I still have a huge history with my friends before all this. That's not going to change. Well, you never know, but I don't want it to. And he said, Steve, you have to promise me you have to get it. Promise me you have to get Super Sprint. And one day we'll play when you build your grand arcade. I can't wait, he says. Steve, win. Win for us. Mike and I used to fight a lot. his lifestyle, his habits, his company, and his attitude. I miss him. And in those times that when we never fought is what I remember and I miss. I remember the good times, and that was a time where I can pause to think, even though we fought a lot and we have a difference of lifestyle and outlook on life, that was one moment that me, George, and Mike were transported back to the early 90s. No fighting, no nonsense, just fun, man. Being, early teens and young kids. I'm happy to say that before Mike passed, we had that. We actually got along well, very well in the last few months before his passing. The fact that I'm not going to be able to play with him again kills me. Because I'm sitting where he used to play. Before I say my final piece, I'm going to switch it up a little because I'm getting a little emotional and just take a quick breather. I want to set you up and show you something in how that arcade was a big arcade for us and where we really bonded. And then I'll set you up again and give my final thoughts. So let me just gather myself. I apologize. I just want to show you something just on the side and my memories of that. But let me gather myself and let me set you up. And I want to kind of give you a visual of what I remember. Okay, so do you remember in my part 3, my last video in Super Sprint, I said that I'm going to try that Pokey chip. So here's that Pokey chip that Sasha gave me. Actually, this is the old one that was in the game. So it would never chime. So great news, the new one I put in that Sasha gave me worked. This one's dead. Let me show you where I saw that. So if you look here, 7B is the left speaker. See how it says Pokey? And then on the right would be 6B. Now, the left one works now and it works. So this works. Sasha, if you're watching, thanks, man. Sasha was nice enough to order me another one because he knows where to find them for Atari games. He has a lot of old Atari games. He's going to get me another one. I'm going to buy one from him and maybe even get a spare because apparently these go like crazy and they're being hard to harvest and hoard as well. So this is where I found it in my manual, which thankfully I printed because it actually, other than just looking kind of neat, it came handy. So there's the Pokey 1. It sounds a little silly. There's Pokey 1 and then Pokey 2. So that did work. Now, let me close this. So I got another one coming. It might be a few weeks, but no rush. Let me paint you a picture. Okay, now it's kind of a weird view, and I'm sorry for this, but I'll explain how I remember Family Cartways. This was the entrance. This was the entrance. Can you see that? Yeah. And we'll say this is floor 1, and then this is the stairs to go to floor 2. So F2, floor 1. You would walk in. Street Fighter Champion Rainbow Edition. I can't remember what other game. Maybe Mortal Kombat beside it. No, it wasn't. I can't remember. And then this went outside to the track. And then this was kind of the stairs going upstairs to the second level. Here is where Super Sprint was. Around, it was like near the middle. It was just almost dead straight. And then here was the X-Men 6-player. We'll say X6 and we'll say Super Sprint. Here was to the back, like to get out as well. There's a few different exits and entrances. Here was Splatterhouse. So there are a lot of 90s games. Splatterhouse, I remember. That was Super Sprint. You'd walk upstairs. And this is my first time doing this. I don't know if you guys like this. I don't know. Anyways, you'd walk upstairs. And then here was that Superman game. You know the beat 'em up game where the second player is like Bizarro Superman or whatever? There's that. There's Blades of Steel, the arcade, the hockey game. Now, just that Superman will say Blades of Steel. I have never, to this day, lost a fight in Blades of Steel. Either the arcade or the NES version, which I actually like the NES version better. So if anyone ever wanted to play me in Blades of Steel, I'll probably lose the game, but a fight, never. So far, undefeated. I can't remember what game was here, and then here was a huge area. Like, it wasn't 1-in-1. It was like kind of cut off. Like I said, it was like an old barn. This area was a light gun. You know how you had those guns? It was like a ranch, and then you shoot like this rattlesnake, and it'd be like, like you'd be, and then you hit this like pop can, and then the light would go like, and then like in like the barn door and like moo and all this other shit. It was, and this was fun because it was a quarter and it was a light gun game. I used to spend a lot of quarters on this because it was really fun. But I remember we only went there when we didn't like, it was like this. The newer games would be up front. Then they would move, I think an elevator was here, and then they would move the old games to upstairs. Like I said, Superman and Blades of Steel. Whatever else was up here. And X-Men was a big one for us as well, but Super Sprint was the killer. We always used to gravitate to this and Street Fighter Rainbow, and then it was kind of like this. 1, 2, because Mike was so good, he didn't bother playing. Super Sprint, Street Fighter 2 Rainbow Edition, X-Men. Splatterhouse. Fucking love that game. Excuse me for swearing. Love Splatterhouse. Loved it. Thought it was so cool. So it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I think there's an upstairs, or then come across and then play whatever the hell, and then come back down and then go go-kart and batting cages. You know what was here? Through here? Like underneath? Because this was just to say this is still floor 1. It was like it's like the concession. Popcorn, cotton candy, that fountain drink thing. I think then they had like hot dogs on a roll and like burgers and all the other stuff. So it would literally be trapped. It would be like boom, 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 back down, eat, come back, back upstairs, come back down, eat. It was like a maze, a teenage maze. And we were in there for hours. A lot of big memories. And now in the end, Family Cartways, here's what I've heard. Apparently in the late 90s when it was closing down and losing money, I don't know how the hell you lose money, but property back then, it was huge, so they probably sold it to a developer for housing. My understanding of Family Cartways was, last time I heard when I was finishing school, is that it burnt down. And it was suspecting of arson, if I remember. And I'm like, how the hell did they light the biggest track on fire? That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, apparently they lit I think it was an arson suspicion or something that it was arson. Now, did the game make it out alive? I don't know. Did all these games get burned with it? I don't know, because back then I didn't think of arcades. So that was, I remember this so much. This was a staple. And Super Sprint is a must in my arcade. I have it. I still think about it. And I love it. So that was my visual. It's raw, it's ghetto, I get it. And again, I'm sorry for going on about this memories, but it excites me and it saddens me at the same time, and I have to tell the story. Let me set you up and say my final goodbyes. Well, everyone, there you have it. That was the Super Sprint Arcade, Part 4 of the memories. I know it went a little longer. I can speak about it forever and just replay it in my head. Extremely important to me to have in my collection. extremely important to me that I remember those good times, and extremely important for the memory of my brother. And Mike, if you're out there, you will always be the red car. And when I build Top Tier, you will always have a place in our hearts, our mind and soul, and our memories. And every time I play the red car, I'll remember that we lived, though yours was shortened. I'll never forget you, our memories. I cheers to you, my brother. I smoke for you. And this will always be here for you. You'll always be the red Carmen. I will try my ever best to progress on my vision to create the arcade that I hope I one day have, and that I've sketched and thought of since the beginning. Every day I think about how it's going to go down. And I hope, whether it be God, whether it be hard work, whether it be dumb luck, that I build the arcade that I promised I would on Christmas Day at 3:30 p.m. 2017. That I will make the arcade and I will honor you. And this is one game that I would definitely want you to be a part of. And that you help me teach and play. Thank you everyone for choosing Top Tier. If you choose to like, subscribe, share, I'm happy to have shared my memories, my soul to this, and my deepest sympathies to my brother, and greatest memories of you. I thank you all again. There's more coming. We're going to actually play this finally. And Mike, we'll leave the red car open for you, okay? Maybe you know what? I will play the red car to your honor. Next game, next part, which is part 5, the gameplay, the final part of this series. Mike, I will be the red car as memory to you, and let's see how well we can do. All the best, and I'll see you in the next video. All the best to you and your families and yourselves. Cheers.